Hey everyone, it's Smiles Behind Lupus. So today's video will be explaining the videos that you have seen from December with the doctors saying the no lupus. So I've been like, that's part of my being off of social media and YouTube. Just trying to process everything to better understand it all, because it's definitely was not an easy thing to hear. So if you have not seen those other videos, I encourage you to stop this video, go back and catch up so you know what is going on. So I was diagnosed with lupus in 2014, May of 2014, and I want to show you my records that actually show that I was diagnosed and I had a positive, ANAs and all kinds of other stuff. So I'm going to turn the camera around so I can show you guys that, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've tried to black out anything that had like the hospital or the doctor's name or my last name. But you see Cheryl right there, but okay. The reason for visit, this is on 5/8/2014, is discuss lab and diagnostic workup for lupus. So she put, that positive anti-phospholipids and ANA workup, meeting criteria with mild lupus. We'll discuss in great lengths today. I'm going to start Plaquenil. She'll see me every 3 months. History of low vitamin D. That is that visit to show that I was diagnosed. This one, I think I went in because I was having some more issues. So, it's positive ANA with polyauthored, whatever that says. So you see all of that. You see my history. Let's cover that up. And CRPs was elevated, sed rate. So the plan here, give me Zofran for nausea. Keep continuing to do the immunosuppressant follow-up. So it shows you right. My RF factor for rheumatoid arthritis was negative, but I had a positive ANA. CRPs was this or whatever at this time. With that, you guys seeing that, the journey, I was kind of like, I was, sad that you have lupus, but then relieved at the same time, because I had been so sick and, going doctor to doctor, nobody could figure out why. So it was like, okay, finally we have a diagnosis. Because, in 2012, probably some know, some don't know. It's in old videos. But in 2012, I had kidney failure. I had 2 back surgeries. I went through adrenal insufficiency all in 2012. But I wasn't getting any better from my back surgery, and that's what led my old pain doctor to test me for arthritis and lupus and all kinds of other stuff, and that's what came back. So, as you guys know or may not know, we're fast forwarding to 2018. I started really having issues with her probably 2017. I don't ever feel like, she was always really nice, but she was never consistent. And she would just blow off your symptoms and really wouldn't, help. So I went in the hospital in August because they thought I was having a stroke. After calling our office before I went to the hospital, the office was like, oh, I'll talk to her. Nobody would call me back. So then that's why my husband just took me straight to the ER. Like, I was having mouth numbness, tingling on my face. Like, it was just crazy. Headaches. And so while I was in the hospital, her nurse/office manager called and said that they were discharging me as a patient because I had called in because I couldn't tolerate taking the CellCept. Like, I was so sick a few days before I got admitted that I couldn't really keep any food down. So if you guys know with CellCept, you have to eat. So I was like, okay, like, I didn't even I was like, I'm in the hospital, whatever. Like, I didn't even care at that point. So they were like, well, you have 30 days to find a doctor. So my lung doctor sent me to a new rheumatologist. So when the new rheumatologist, she got my records and she's reviewing stuff, and she's like, I don't know why she could have possibly diagnosed you, but I'm not going to, change anything right now. We'll see. So I kept going back, and the labs were changing. But she was like, the CellCept is dangerous. She said it's a good drug, but it has a lot of bad side effects, cancer, all kinds of stuff. And she just didn't feel I needed it. And my old rheumatologist never documented that Plaquenil made me lose 70 pounds in 3 months. I was so sick. She never documented it. She never documented why I was put on CellCept. I was on Benlysta infusion also. My lung doctor stopped the Benlysta back in, I want to say, I think my last infusion might have been June. So maybe, I want to say May or June was the last infusion of 2018. Because my lungs were just still being attacked. And, every time I would go get my infusion, I couldn't breathe. I was swollen, and I would call her, and they were like, oh, that's not a side effect. But if you go on the Benlysta website, it was a side effect. So from that point, the new rheumatologist was like, I'm going to half your CellCept. So my body went haywire from going to half. I went in for a working appointment. She's like, I'm going to stop your meds altogether. And I thought she was flat out crazy, because I'm like, I just went through, hell in a handbasket pretty much. Excuse me, just by halving, and you're going to stop it. So I was so fearful, because the last time that I was not on any kind of treatment is when I went on oxygen, and I was on oxygen for 18 months. So this is in the back of my head, not thinking about my relationship with God, about faith, none of that. I'm just being real. So she stopped it. She's like, I know it's going to be hard, but please just, bear with me. I want to repeat your labs. Why the medicine is not really in your system. So at this point, my body it was just bad. December was horrible, y'all. 18-hour days in the bed. My birthday, I spent in the bed. It was just a struggle. And I reached out to the women at my church. They have a Facebook group. And I just said, hey, guys, I normally don't ever ask anyone to pray for me. Can you please pray for me? Because my lupus is, all over the place. I'm having a hard time. So that was December the 8th. Went back to the rheumatologist on December the 20th, which you guys saw the video. If you haven't, you can click back and watch it. And she's just like, your labs don't show that you have lupus at all. It's gone. And I'm just like, what do you mean it's gone? I'm thinking well, if it's dormant, wouldn't it still show up? Or will the results be normal if it's dormant and you're in quote remission? Or, she was like, well, it should be there regardless if it's active or not. It will show on your labs. So I'm sitting here what is this lady talking about? I was angry. And my husband, I called him as soon as I got in the car, and he's like, you've been asking God since 2014 to heal you, and you've got to have more faith, and believe that that's what is occurring. But in my head, I'm looking at 4 years of treatments, poison coming in my body, and now you're saying that is not there. So I'm not even thinking of what I prayed, who I asked to pray for me, none of that. Like, I'm just like, I was in such shock and disbelief. So at this point, I was still seeing my dermatologist because I was having the hair loss, the shedding, the sores in my scalp, all of that. I went to him, told him everything that she said. He was like, well, I'm going to rerun all your labs. He said, I'm going to do a whole autoimmune panel. And I said, okay, please, thank you. This man, I had like 30 mLs of blood, lots of blood drawn. And when I got back to go get my results, I think it was like January 7th, he said, all of your tests are normal. No Sjogren's, no nothing. Like, I guess I can back up before that. The rheumatologist did say, like, my severe joint pain that I have is fibromyalgia, and that will cause me to be tired and having the aching. And of course, I've had 4 back surgeries. So I'm like, okay, so back to the dermatologist. So out of his mouth was, whatever prayers you're praying, they're working. And I just sit there and I'm like, okay. And so my thing is like, I talked to my husband and he was like, you're healed. Just leave it alone. You're healed. But then once again, the man, side, or the flesh side of you think of like, you misdiagnosed me. The other rheumatologist is telling me that I never met all four criterias, or the criterias. You have to meet so many criterias. I had the fatigue, I had the joint pain, I had the weakness, I had the malar rash, I had, I'm trying to think that far back. Like, I thought I had she flat out said, you meet the criteria. I would either diagnose you with lupus or mixed connective tissue. That's what the old rheumatologist initially said. So, I just said thank you, and I said, okay, thank you, God. Like, it was hard to like kind of like hear it, because I'm like, where do I go from here? And the new rheumatologist offered me medications to help fibromyalgia because I had neuropathy pain, severe neuropathy pain. She offered me like Cymbalta, Neurontin, something else, but I told her I didn't want to take any more medicine at this point. Like, I don't want to do nothing at this point but wrap my head around what you guys are telling me. So I went to church and my pastor was preaching on faith. I gave my testimony and made the decision, just accepted it. Thank you, God, for my healing. People believe it. Some people don't. Some will just say you were misdiagnosed. I don't care what you say. There is the paperwork. The lab showed it, that it was positive. And that's what it is. And I believe firmly in my heart that it was just God healing me. And I had pretty much surrendered to God, like at our women's conference. Just like I've been in church and I felt like I was like saved, but I was not like active in church like I should be. I would just go when I went, and and I was just like, that's not what God wanted for me to do. He wanted me. He's like, no, you're going to get up and, serve and, work for me. And I was not doing that. So I did seek legal counsel, and, one of the parents on the track team, her husband is an attorney, and he says he feels like I have a case, and he referred me to a bigger law firm somewhere down South Florida, so it wouldn't be close in the area. But I was like so on the fence of like legally seeking something, but also being able to accept healing. And I feel like it was contradicting itself, because my thing was, for the legal aspect, is I still have side effects from being on Plaquenil, the Benlysta, and for the CellStep. And I don't want someone else to go through what I went through. So that was my recourse of going legally, because I'm not I've talked to her other patients and they say the same thing. She's super sweet, but she's not consistent. And like, she would pull me off my meds when I was on antibiotics, and I would ask them, because I would meet her patients when we were in infusion together, and I'm like, hey, did she stop your medicine when you were on antibiotics with a cold? No, she's never done that. So I'm thinking to myself, why are we both have lupus systemic, so why are we doing this? Like, it was just hard, guys. And so finally a sermon, like Michael's best friend had preached, and I'll try to leave it in the description box. And that was my answer to not pursuing the legal aspect, was in that sermon. And I will probably file a complaint with the Florida State Medical Board, because I don't want someone else. I want someone to go in and investigate her office, because it was so much information that was never documented that should have been documented. And when I got my old record, because she has 2 offices, her own office now and her old office. And when I went to get the initial records that you read, they were like, yeah, she, a lot of patients had issues because she didn't document. Like, so I'm not the only patient that has these problems. So that is where we're at. I asked him, like, hey, what about my channel name? Like, this was the whole purpose of me starting a YouTube channel, is to raise awareness about lupus. And he was like, that is what you had. You don't have it now, but you still are an advocate for those that are fighting lupus. I mean, fibromyalgia is still a chronic illness. So therefore, I will not change my name. The channel name, I will still be Smiles Behind Lupus, because I will help every person that I've ever connected with on YouTube, Instagram, to be able to keep fighting. And I will still do my lupus autoimmune smile box. Like, that won't stop just because I'm healed. So yeah, I've been figuring, I don't know how else. I was like trying to figure out like how to better do this, video. I don't know. Like, I've been just juggling. Like, it's February. So I'm like, I need to get the video out, so when people are seeing the other videos. So this video, of course, will be out after, I want to say, the dermatology video. So, people are going to be like, what? Because I know there are some people on YouTube and Instagram that are straight frauds, and I'm not that type of person, because Lord knows y'all have seen me at infusion with the needle, Metaport, everything, like sick as a dog. So that was the reason. And the new rheumatologist is like, that's why none of your treatments were working, because you shouldn't have never been on those medications. So I just pray for a healing from God when it comes to the other medications that was in my system that my body can reverse. But immediately after being off of Cellcept, I dropped 16 pounds. So that tells you something right there. Like, some medication is poison. A lot of it, it is what it is. It helps and it hurts. So, but I thank you guys for like continuing to follow my journey, and I will start doing more now about fibromyalgia. My husband doesn't want me to claim that either, but I know what my body feels. I'm not trying to claim it, but I will spread the awareness, because I still suffer from lots of fatigue, lots of brain fog, lots of joint pain. Will that get better in the next few months? I hope so. I'm not really sure. So yeah, it was difficult because I really was going to stop vlogging. So I guess my channel will kind of still go in the aspect of day in the life, clean with me's, haul videos. I'll still do educational when it comes to autoimmune disease, chronic illness. That's not going to change anything. I'm still going to be an advocate, like I said, for others that are fighting lupus. But hey guys, so I'm back and I wanted to give you Hubbie's perspective from me being.
See, you see how I did?
I can't with him. I'm trying to tell him we need to look over here, and he's like, well, "Why do we need to look over here and not there?" And I was like, "Well, you always say
And
I'm
she
looking
told
away."
right, her eyes be this, and y'all know how the real pretty girls be. Oh, and I was just
not. So I of course recorded my portion of me being told I don't have lupus anymore and the healing behind that. So I wanted to include Hubbie, aka Coach Mike, into the conversation. So I've already told them, I showed them like my original lab work when I first was diagnosed back in not 20 years ago, 2014. And then I caught them up to me asking for prayer at the church on December.
You missed a whole lot
the
of
8th.
between our lives.
Well, no, I told them the struggles and, with the new doctor, what her thoughts were. Right. And, she was repeating lab work and all of that stuff. So you can fill in what I left out.
Well, I don't even know if they allow me to do that much time on one video, but I'm going to make it short. When I first met Cheryl and I knew nothing about lupus, be honest with you, the world that I was in, so to speak, I'd never even heard of it, even though I was around all sorts of people and all facets of people from different races and situations in life. I've never even heard of lupus. And I became very well educated from the knowledge that she had, not only from the medical field, but her doing her research, what lupus causes, how it works, the effectiveness, and some things she found out in reference to her bloodline that from her mother, and enlighten her about maybe some things. But back to her, all kind of medications. And, on one hand, I can laugh and say, the certain meds had a suicidal because they was trying this and that. But then on the other hand, it was a saddening situation because she was so young to me. Still young, but not as young. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But yeah, she was so young. And, when I started becoming aware of what lupus, how serious it was heartbreaking. It was saddening. And I myself even had to ask God to redirect my thought pattern about my life as a husband with her, and the seriousness of understanding that this disease didn't take no prisoners, didn't care about, economic status, age or anything like that, as a lot of diseases do.
Can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
One thing, can you elaborate? Because we met in 2012.
Right.
And I was sick, but just didn't know, like what was going on. We got the diagnosis a month after we got married. It was a month.
Oh,
it was
I
in May.
was in a month later.
No.
Well, when I first saw her, she was sick, and I knew I had to help this girl. I'm just saying, I knew. Well, that's in a whole nother video. We really got to hear that. But no, when I first met her, from the outside looking, you wouldn't know. And that's what I learned about lupus. You look at people and one day they are vibrant and strong and ready to go as a non-educated person in the realm of medical field. It's like, ain't nothing wrong with you. And so, but she went through a lot of appointments, a lot of dealing doctors saying this and that, and to the point where when I would go, it was like, okay, well, why do we have a different understanding of what's going on compared to what you talked about 2 weeks ago, kind of thing, and all the different medication, try this, and the body going through this and going through that, and having a lot of tests to confirm that lupus was the cause of the situation in her life. you know, because she was saying it could have been this, and the frustration that she would go through was it was exhausting for both of us. I know a lot of times I didn't show it because, you know, me, you know, machoism gotta be the man, gotta be strong. But you know, the trueness of it is somebody had to be strong at the time because you know we're a family, we together. So if one is falling, somebody got to be strong enough to pick up and hold up, so to speak. But um,
It was very difficult.
it was strange to me because she looked healthy and sometimes would act healthy, and I guess I would get on a nerve, not really get on a nerve, but try to be such a motivator that she would actually try to continue to push herself, and me not really educated in the realm of again on the medical term and understanding lupus. I can tell you about athleticism and how it works and how to deal with springs and how to, you know, hey, but I was not well educated. I was compassionate. I do want to say that. I knew I was compassionate and I practiced to show compassion. But the diagnosis came on several occasions, lupus, 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 until we both believed and just conceded that my wife has lupus. And we went in the lupus lifestyle, trying to eat right, these things, what could help. And believe it or not, prayer wasn't on the list first. Very spiritual people, believes in God. You know, hey, you can't tell us no different. You know, praise who you praise, whatever the case may be. But it was more change of diet and rest this way and look for this medication instead of, you know what, let's lay prayer first and see how everything goes. Not to say that God hadn't blessed man to be educated in the realm of the body, but to say that let's, you know, believe first and follow everything later. We followed everything first, and eventually, you know, it got to the point where we was just determined that, you know, this thing was going to have to leave. It was hindering too much of what she was trying to accomplish, and her son and her niece and nephew, they were affected. You know,
Family,
yeah.
job, I couldn't work anymore.
I mean,
You
it
know.
was a effect all over, just not with us and her, but her niece was, she was a baby. Her nephew, I think at the time, he was what, 9, 8, or 9? And he made a comment one time about her always, and her son. He said it a couple of times, and it really touched me then. You know, that he say, basically, I think at the time he was maybe about 13, 12, 13. He was young. You know, why do he all, you know, when he spend time with his mom, all she gonna do is lay in the bed anyway. You know, and I'm like, Lord, you got to do something. You know, you got to do something. And years later, in his time, she went back and, you know, she went back and got a, I guess some more tests done. I met some guy, some doctor.
That was the one doctor that you met, the Mexican doctor.
Yeah, I thought he was Indian. You know,
Next.
so I didn't. She met so she has so many. I don't know how she can keep up with them. Goodness gracious! But he actually ran some tests, and the lung doctor, you said right?
Well, he didn't confirm it. The actual.
No. But he ran some tests, and I think that was the start of
the
the
start
process
of yeah.
to run other tests to get some.
Yeah.
You need to do this.
Because he was just like, something's not right. You know, this Benlysta that you're taking my infusion, and I'll link the videos of him saying he calls it belimumab because that's the other name for it. And he's just like, I think this is what's attacking your lungs. And you guys know, like, I was on oxygen for right at 18 months. And, you know, nobody could really, like, figure out. So their whole thing was just like, oh, it's just lupus that's attacking your lungs. And so he was, like, adamant. Like, I think that was in, like, June, he stopped my Benlysta. Because he was like, something else wasn't, didn't make sense.
And I think that's what's the start of everything else being put together. But, you know, I know some people are probably going to come by this video and y'all are going to say Well, you probably never had it anyway, and that's why they missed and da 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 da. You know, I'm going to speak from the standpoint of the power of God and the faith that we had that one day this will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can remember when it did leave, and she came back and said that they said that she didn't have it. It was almost as if she didn't want to believe it.
I
Well,
did.
they wrong, and I'm like, you know, we've been believing God for this to take place and for this to happen. Let's believe it. We don't believe you had it. Let's believe you don't have it then, you know. And it's been great. You know what I'm saying? Gentlemen, it's been but no, you know, seriously, it was exciting, you know, and it was a relief to me because I wanted her to have some freedom to do some things differently and to enjoy her life. I've enjoyed mine, and I you know enjoy your life without you know those you're gonna be limited with some things anyway. So let's not have extra limitations on our expectation. I need to use that somewhere.
Sounds like a sermon.
And I'm so grateful that God has allowed me to be in part of this process. And her son, which most of y'all probably know is in Virginia, we haven't been with him since this because his time is going to be. We'll see him at his graduation, and it's going to be different. I just think it's going to be different. I know she shared it with him and some other people, and you know, but a teenager's a teenager.
Yeah, I don't know. Like he's like, oh my God, really? Like I don't think he can rap. Like really knowing like miracles of healing and like the big significance. But when I did go see him this
See, it was before that.
summer, no, I'm just saying
You did go see him
when I
summer?
saw him when I had to go in there in August.
Right.
I tried to make, even though my body was so sick, I had to make myself every day get up and not lay in the bed. Like we planned to do something every day because I remembered that he always, like every time, you know, he visited for the summer or even when before, you know, the whole, you know, if I would have him for a year, like I was like, before I even met him, I would be so tired when I got off work and I never knew why. So it was just like I just didn't have any strength. Like I felt like I was, you know, being a bad mother because I couldn't do things. I was just physically exhausted, you know. And of course, like the rheumatologist, she was saying that, you know, she believes the fibromyalgia, but you know, when I told him, he's like, well, we're not gonna believe that either. And you know, it's just, it was different. Like you know, I'm thankful, I'm happy. My body feels so much better being off of those medications. You know, I think the period that I was going through where I was in the bed for 18 hours, I was just so sick. It was just trying to get out of my system. So now, like, I feel like the only issues that I feel like I still have are some fatigue, shortness of breath, and my joint discomfort. But that's pretty much, you know, it.
That's during the time. You know, I say Big Daddy still ain't that about it.
But yeah, like, I mean, like, having all that other stuff, like, oh, and I still have brain fog. I'm just praying, like, once everything is completely out of my system.
You said brain fog. What
Can't remember.
That ain't got nothing to do with your medication.
Okay, but I'm not on any medication from going. He seen me to be on 20 medications to now I take vitamins, whatever. I take my vitamins and my medical marijuana.
Do she take that? Do she?
And it helps. It has been a
Our house get clean.
Changer.
She be cleaning up. I'm like, Lord, I'm finna go get a whole tree and bring in the house if I have to.
So it's definitely it's changed my whole life.
Yeah, it is. It seemed like something been lifted a little bit. She's a lot livelier. Is livelier a word?
Mm-hmm. I guess.
Yeah.
You know, you just make up words.
You know, we were at a track meet yesterday. I think yesterday. And if we would normally go to a track meet, I gotta go lay down. It was none of that yesterday. And we would now. Don't get me wrong, we were tired. Yeah. That's just a natural thing from an all day situation.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the same type of feedback that I normally get after. It was more of a, how are we gonna do better this way and dealing with the individuals. It wasn't none of this. Oh, something. Now she did say her feet swole, but if you saw her toes, you'll understand why her
It was
feet
my
was.
ankle, I think, from where I sprained my ankle.
I think she got something with toe something. If anybody got any answers for that, just send me something.
So yeah, I was normally a track meet because of course this was an indoor meet. Even though indoor meet last time we went, I was in the car like after like an hour and a half, and that's how even the outdoor meets when it's 90 something degrees. After 2 hours trying to get people situated, I'm like on the radio like, hey, can you come to the tent or send someone to the tent to help these other parents because I can't. Like I couldn't breathe. I would literally, as soon as I would get into the van, I would just crash and would be done and never could even go back to the track meet. Never get to see the kids perform. It was just absolutely horrible back then. So yesterday was like I helped with our parents. I volunteered at the track meet. Like I never get to volunteer at the actual meet, because of everything that I've had to deal with. So I felt good. I was, like you said, we was tired, and I felt like maybe my breathing, once that, I'm just hoping it's reversible because the lung doctor feels my oxygen level keeps dropping for the simple fact the damage that the medication caused to my body. And he feels like that's what's going on. And so we're just trusting and believing that God will reverse it and that I'll have like full lung functions and get my breathing back. And, we're on the journey to losing this weight. And, I feel like that will help us a lot. Mm-hmm.
That's not a washer. I waited you.
I don't know.
And with 18 minutes and 53 seconds going by of us, and y'all get to see Big Daddy every now and then, I just want to say that for those that are skeptic, that keeps coming to my heart. You got to believe in something sometime. Mm-hmm. And it is, I wouldn't say paid off. You can put any type of cliche on it you want, but it has benefited our family. And I think it's good. Mm-hmm. It's good. Like I've always told her since the first time I ever met her, she got so much favor with God that, sometimes I get a little envious. But, because I didn't say jealous.
Envious is jealous.
No, that's your terminology.
Okay.
But I told her she's actually favored by God. And I've seen that on her life since day one. And, especially with me coming into her life, she has no...
And, when you say that favor of God, like... I look back of the stuff that I went through and God has brought me out. Kidney failure where I should have been on dialysis, where my numbers were my BU and creatinine was so high. It was as if I was already on dialysis and he reversed it and I did not have to go on dialysis. Being on oxygen for 2 years and doctors telling you would never get off of this oxygen. Like I was just going to be stuck this way for the rest of my life.
It was 2 years?
Yeah, it was 18 months. Wow. Yeah. From 2015 to
it
seemed like it to me.
Normal.
Yeah,
it had become normality.
2017. Yeah. So, he got me off that oxygen. So
I didn't. That's just wow.
Yeah, it was 2015 to 2017.
Wow.
That was a long time. So, and I would try to be cute and not wear it, and that didn't work. That was horrible.
I'd be like, just put it on after we finish, baby. Just put the oxygen on after we.
Stupid. Well, guys, so I did talk with him like, hey, should I change my channel name? Which I said in my video that I would still advocate for lupus because I know what it's like, and I know what people struggle. I still will advocate for the autoimmune community, chronic illness. That does not change because until he takes the fibromyalgia away, hey, that's still something that really is similar to lupus. So I'm still going to be that, and I'm still kind of on the fence. Should I keep Smiles Behind Lupus or...
I told her she should. because of the fact that the experiment, not I'm sorry, the experience was real in her life, and it's not that you don't you're not promoting something just for the sake of promoting. That was part of your life, and you've been through that. You've been there. I mean, that's like me. I mean, I used to be a player. If I do a play,
You still got players.
no, see that.
He ain't doing nothing because he know I'll be the.
Ooh, we gonna delete that. Y'all might not see the
delete it.
But we don't want nobody knocking on the door. Excuse me, but my vote. Maybe y'all can share y'all opinion about the matter.
Comment below.
You know, my thing is, I think it should stay for, like she said, an advocate, encourager, and plus it gives me an opportunity to show all this to certain people. You know,
I'm not gonna take my channel away. It was just about just renaming the channel. Like, I feel like now my thing is be more educational. I still do my day in the life of just living and clean with me type videos, like I've been doing cook with me type stuff. So I think I will be incorporating him a whole lot more in the video, just as family. So, you know, it just be some new changes.
And to the Smile Behind Lupus family, I'm grateful that y'all allowed me to come into your video space for 21 minutes and 24 seconds. And I really appreciate it.
And the Smile Box will continue. That needs to resume probably like in March, because we've just been crazy busy and was trying to wrap our heads around everything. That's why I took the whole month and a half off. Just trying to process everything. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and hopefully this can help someone else. And I do apologize that it's long, but it's needed. Yeah.
And don't forget, who's ever in the Netherlands and
The Netherlands.
Netherlands?
No.
Yeah, there and in the other place.
Yeah.
Y'all hit 11. Yeah, come on.
Comment below what state you guys live in. We would like to know so we can keep tabs that we have subscribers all over the place. Till the next time, guys, be blessed.